Hi, class. Today we're going to be rereading our book, The Keeping Quilt, focusing on the different generations that are using the Keeping Quilt. So let's begin here, where Anna's mom and the other ladies of the neighborhood are creating and sewing the Keeping Quilt. So the first generation we have is Anna's mother and father, who moved from the family from Russia to New York City. So that's the first generation, okay? And there's her mother making the quilt. So she counts as the first generation. Let's keep going. And they had Anna. Okay. Anna grew up and fell in love with great-grandpa Sasha. To show he wanted to be her husband, he gave Anna a gold coin, a dried flower, and a piece of rock salt, all tied into a linen handkerchief. The gold was for wealth, the flower for love, and the salt so their lives would have flavor. She accepted the hanky, and they were engaged. Under the wedding huppah, Anna and Sasha promised each other love and understanding. After the wedding, the men and women celebrated separately. When my grandma Carl was born, Anna wrapped her daughter in a quilt to welcome her warmly into the world. Carl was given a gift of gold, flour, salt, and bread. Gold so she would never know poverty, a flower so she would always know love, salt so her life would always have flavor, and bread so that she would never know hunger. So, Anna got married to Grandpa Sasha, and then they had their daughter Carl. So Carl would be the next generation. Okay, so we have 1, 2, and then Carl makes 3. So Carl learned to keep the Sabbath and to cook and clean and do washing. Married you will be someday, Anna told Carl, and again, the quilt became a wedding huppah, this time for Carl's wedding to Grandpa George. So now we have Carl. I told you she would be number 3. Carl and Grandpa George. So 1 generation, 2 generations, 3 generations. Men and women celebrated together, but they still did not dance together. In Carl's wedding bouquet was a gold coin, bread, and salt. Carl and George moved to a farm in Michigan, and great-grandma Anna went to live with them. The quilt once again wrapped a new little girl, Mary Ellen. So Mary Ellen, she may start the next one. Mary Ellen called Anna Lady Grandma. She had grown very old and was sick a lot of the time. The quilt kept her legs warm. On Anna's 98th birthday, the cake was a kilich, a rich cake with raisins and candied fruit in it. When great-grandma Anna died, prayers were said to lift her soul to heaven. My mother, Mary Ellen, was now a grown-up. When Mary Ellen left home, she took the quilt with her. When she became a bride, another generation, the quilt became her huppah. For the first time, friends who were not Jews came to the wedding. My mother wore a suit, but in her bouquet were gold, bread, and salt. So now she got married. So Mary Ellen, she got married to William. The quilt welcomed me, Patricia, into the world, and it was the tablecloth for my first birthday party. See, so they got married and had Patricia, so she might start the next one. Oh my gosh. At night, I would trace my fingers around the edges of each animal on the quilt before I went to sleep. I told my mother stories about the animals on the quilt, and she told me whose sleeve had made the horse, whose apron had made the chicken, whose dress had made the flowers, and whose babushka went around the edge of the quilt. At my wedding to Enzo Mario, men and women danced together. In my bouquet were gold bread, salt, and a sprinkle of wine, so I would always know laughter. So now she got married with it.